Welcome to another edition of Cohasset Common. I'm Town Manager Christopher Senior, and on this week's edition, we'll talk with Police Chief Bill Quigley about some of the things the police are seeing during this public health crisis. We'll sit down with Quinn Kelly, the Cohasset Manor reporter, to turn the tables a little bit on a reporter who covers Cohasset on a regular basis. We'll also see a clip from a show being produced with Nicole Balashi and the folks at Safe Harbor Cohasset. Also on today's episode, Larry Corthell, the president of the Cohasset Chamber, meets with a couple of local business owners to talk about what they're doing. That and more this week on Cohasset Common. Here at Cohasset Common, we've been telling Cohasset stories, and today we're going to talk to someone who's actually been reporting Cohasset stories for the Cohasset Mariner, Quinn Kelly. Welcome today to Cohasset Common, Quinn.
Thank you very much for having me. Very excited to be here.
And it's kind of nice to turn the tables. I'm usually getting questions from you, and today I actually get to ask you questions. So.
That's true. I'm sure that I have rang your phone plenty, so it's nice to give you the opportunity to do the other
Exactly.
way.
It feels like I'm putting my old hat back on from when I was a reporter. So, what's it been like covering? So let me step back for a second. How long have you been with the Mariner? Tell us a little bit about you and your reporting.
Sure. So I got to the Mariner in August, just began then, and this is my first print journalism job. I'd done a lot of stuff in radio and just thought this was a cool avenue to kind of expand into, and really have been just taken aback since day one at how lucky I was to land in this community. You know, my office holds towns from all over the South Shore, and this was just the one that happened to be open. And I feel very fortunate because it's really been an awesome place to get to cover.
That's great. So we all think it's an awesome
Yeah.
place. So you have a background in you said in radio. You did a lot of radio. I understand you've worked or still work with WATD.
Yeah, so I work with WATD in Marshfield, which gave me some familiarity with a lot of the South Shore news, being that I've spent a little time on the South Shore growing up, but here full time now since getting out of school. And I think working there kind of dipped my toe into the water into what's going on, what some of the local issues are, so to speak, and then now getting to do it here. I think it equipped me a little bit to have some type of handle on what I was getting into when I joined.
So one of the things that I'm sure has been a big challenge is just reporting during a crisis like this.
Yeah.
So what has that been like?
Well, it's interesting, just because there's kind of a duality of, well, people really only want to hear about one thing. You want to hear what's going on with all the COVID stuff and how that's affecting everything. But on the same time, you don't want to really beat people down with the same story over and over again. And you certainly don't want the paper to be, you know, your weekly dose of negativity by any stretch of the imagination. So I think kind of towing the line between informing, but also staying upbeat and being something that people are looking forward to getting in the mail on Fridays has been interesting. And then, of course, just the reality of it, of not being able to go out and meet with people or go on site to a lot of things and having to do everything virtually. But I feel like that's, you know, no different than what everybody's experiencing with their job.
It just adds another kind of layer between you and the story, or you and the reporting.
Yeah, absolutely. And it keeps me in check. I mean, when you've got videos online of the selectmen meetings, you can't misquote anything. It's all right there for you. So
That's true.
You know, it's interesting, and I'm fortunate in that I think it's a job that I can do from home. There isn't a lot that's required that, you know, I was unable to do. We haven't had to make too much of an adjustment, but it is definitely, you know, it requires a little bit more of you in terms of finding the stories, I guess.
So you're talking about covering Cohasset, and again, as a weekly, and I way back early in my life, I was a weekly reporter. One of the challenges as well is you're not reporting breaking news so much. You're reporting
Right.
what's happening with people's lives. And again, it's one of the things we're trying to also talk about. We're getting the news from the federal government and the state government. We're most certainly passing down critical health information, and we're trying to make it relevant to what's happening here.
Right.
So one of the important things that you're doing and that we're doing here as well is just trying to make sense of this at the local level, and also to share stories that, you know, in some ways we're able to reach more people electronically. It's not the same as in person, and I'm looking forward to the day we can have in-person meetings again, and also in-person staff meetings.
Yeah.
That said, there's some really great stories that are coming out of this, and anything that jumps out at you that you've seen in the last couple of months?
Well, it's amazing because I really do feel like for as trying a time as this has been, it has really brought out the best in people. I know we saw a story just a couple days ago about the Girls Across team that was down helping at the food pantry. Different things like that. People that have started making donations to furloughed employees and that kind of thing. I just think that there's such an understanding in this community, especially in that way. I think that we all need to kind of be engaged and be tuned in to what's going on with everybody else, and doing everything they can to help everybody. And it really is just that's been the fun part, I think, is seeing those cool stories. And I do go back to the Girls Across team story. Like, that's such a cool example of people really going out of their way to make something positive happen in a very negative situation.
It's great. It's great to share stories like that.
Yeah.
So I understand that in addition to covering regular news, you're also covering sports, which is a
Yes.
little hard to cover these days, I guess. But
Yeah. So a lot of it is pulling into a little bit wider area. Not everything is so Cohasset centric now, although we do try. But you'll see more regional stories coming out kind of in the weekly paper. But one thing we have been doing is, and this is kind of tied in, what I do with radio and bringing it to Cohasset as well. But just touching base with all of the senior captains. I know I spoke with Xavier Pilastri and Ian Appleby, who are the two senior captains for the baseball team, I believe on Monday. Just kind of about what their reaction was when they found out everything was canceled and what it's like having that taken away. But then also a positive thing. I mean, it has given people, I think, a really nice chance to reflect. And I know for the seniors, I mean, I have a younger brother who's a senior in high school. I very much feel for them because it's just awful. But it has given them a chance to kind of step back and in a time that should be among the quickest paced and most busy of their lives, to just say, okay, take a kind of survey of everything that's happened for them.
not only a chance to reflect, but there's a real call for resiliency, which is not
Yes.
something that we often think about all the time. So anything coming up? Anything with the Baron, or anything that we should be looking forward to? Any updates? Or?
Well, I'm looking forward to covering what you guys will be doing with town meeting. I know that is, I'm sure, a stressful point for you, but it'll be fun to kind of keep that up to date.
It's something that we've been working really hard on, and had the plans now are to try to obviously to have it happen, because it's really important that we adopt the budget. It's really important, and obviously we have the town election. It's really important that we take care of routine business. A bunch of things have been pushed off to a fall meeting, a lot of zoning articles and things that we don't have to do today. The water rate increase discussion is going to be pushed off to the fall. That said, there's still things we have to get to do, and at the same time, people want to be safe, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have people engaged between 18 and 80 plus, so we want to make sure that everyone's safe, and we're trying to come up with a creative approach, which we'll talk about soon. I won't talk about it right yet in detail because we're still working on it, but there's a lot of opportunity, I think, to do something creative that will pull us together and also allow us to have a meeting. So,
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what I'm really looking forward to too is the way that, I mean, you guys have made so many changes and have had to make these changes, but it really feels like kind of a leap forward into a more digital age, and there have been positives that I think have come out of this, and I think that the Cohasset live streaming page is a good example of that. But for me too, I look forward to, I know Chairman Kevin McCarthy of the Board of Selectmen is said it's going to be his final term, and I look forward to kind of debriefing with him after this, because he has been there for such a long time, and I'm sure the way that things were when he started, and especially now with the way this has gone on when he is finished, and just kind of seeing the changes in local government will be something fun to kind of go over with him.
well, there you go. That's a story to look forward to,
Yep.
right? So thank you again for joining us, Quinn. Thank you, Quinn Kelly, Cohasset Mariner.
Thank you.
Now on Cohasset Common, we take a look at a highlight from an upcoming show with Executive Director of Cohasset Safe Harbors, Nicole Balashi.
Feet in, and now I'm all the way in because it's a fantastic organization. I can't believe myself how much we do.
Yeah. And you were on NPR talking about your struggles, and I think that was an eye opener for Christine, like you mentioned. And the reason why she started this coalition was because of young lives that were lost to opioid addiction. And our main goal when we started was to destigmatize the whole conversation around addiction and let people know the resources that are available, because I do think that you don't really know until you're in it how hard it is to navigate the system. And you having the personal connection to addiction and knowing the struggles, do you want to speak a little bit about that?
I sort of do. I wanted to mention something new that we've started, and that's having a parent advisor. And I've stepped into that role also, in addition to being a chair. This was the thing I think that was missing a few years ago. We've been on this journey ourselves since my daughter was 14, and she is 24 now, and she's in recovery, which is fantastic.
Yay!
But those first few years were a black hole of lack of information, lack of personal connection with other people who were going through this. There were a lot of closed doors. Things have changed.
I'm here at the Cohasset Police Department today with Chief Bill Quigley. Welcome to Cohasset Common, Chief.
Thanks, Chris.
It's been a really challenging time for everybody. How are the guys doing on the floor? I should say, how are the officers doing on the floor?
Yeah, we have some girls now, which is great. So everybody is mostly healthy. We had one officer who came down with coronavirus. He's on the road to recovery. He should be back to work tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. And but he was out for a couple of weeks. And but besides that, everybody else is healthy and in good spirits.
And the fact that he's getting better is great news. And the fact that no one else caught it is also great news. So I guess your extra protocols are really working.
Yeah, so that goes you're exactly right. It goes to our protocols. We've adjusted a bunch of our procedures, a bunch of our policies. We've created, some zones within the police station, negative pressure zones, so the air is changed out like every minute. We have some, high-tech air filters in there that run the air through UV lighting. We also, we're masked up within the station. We're taking every precaution we can, and it's paid off.
It's clearly it's something that I know we had talked about this a couple months as this first started to unveil, things we had to do that we hadn't even imagined we could have done. And it's really impressive us being able to come together.
Yeah, it's been a challenge for sure, but it's been sort of neat in a cool way. There's we're doing a lot of innovative things. We're thinking beyond the box. It's sort of forced us to do things differently, which isn't a bad thing. It's sort of you reassess what you've been doing, and sometimes it turns out to be a better way to do things.
The necessity is the mother of invention, and I guess this is the ultimate necessity, right? So, what are some of the things you've been seeing that have been a little bit more challenging lately?
So it's something that's always a challenge here in Cohasset. The roads, as the roads are narrow. The sidewalks are really narrow, and some of them aren't in great shape. Pedestrian traffic and vehicular traffic. Pedestrians interfering with vehicular traffic. It's been a challenge because people have just been cooped up for a couple months, and we get it. We understand. People want to get out, but when you do that, you have to do it in a way that's safe. You have to make sure you're off to the side of the road. You're not walking 2 or 3 abreast, and you're not putting yourself in danger in a position where you're going to get hit. So that's been a real challenge, and also people just go too fast, and that's in general. It's not just Cohasset. It's everywhere, and with this health emergency, it's been a challenge to conduct traffic enforcement because we're trying to limit the officers' interaction with people.
Right.
That said, we still have to uphold the law. This isn't a free-for-all, so we're doing the best we can, and we've come up with some different ways to accomplish that.
So I guess the message is, please respect the speed limit. Please respect that there are people out biking, people who are walking. So please, particularly on a night, it's a gorgeous day today, and I'm going to hopefully have a lot more of these, to pay particular attention, particularly on our narrow, that's a vast majority of our very narrow, windy roads. You don't know what's coming on the other side of the curve.
Yeah, for sure. That's perfect what you said. And, we try to educate people, and we like to use enforcement as a last measure. And, we're sort of unfortunately at that point where we really have to pick up enforcement. So people will see there's going to be more patrols out there, more people being stopped. And again, I talked before about some innovative ways to deal with traffic stops. It won't be a traditional traffic stop if you're, unfortunate enough to be the subject of one of these stops, if you're speeding or doing something you shouldn't. The officer, will put in your plate number. They will, bring your vehicle information up on the screen if you're the registered owner of the vehicle. The officer may just pull up, next to you, verify that you're the registered owner, and tell you to expect a citation in the mail. And that's, it keeps my officers safe, and it also, helps us accomplish, part of our mission, which is, traffic enforcement and safety.
So again, we want to keep the police safe. We want to keep each other safe. So the goal here is don't speed, pay attention, and please obey all of the traffic rules and regulations. The road traffic may be less, but it doesn't mean that the speed limits went away. Anything else that you guys have been seeing, or I keep saying that. Anything other than your officers have been seeing?
Yeah, we've again, there's been a lot of challenges. People are cooped up, people, their fuses are short, and we've seen a lot of family trouble calls, domestic violence, unfortunately, and a lot of mental health issues. People can't get to their providers. That's one of the things, and some people just aren't comfortable, doing a teleconference or whatever, so they're going without the support that they need. So we're working closely with Elder Affairs, with Safe Harbor. Board of Health has been great, which is wonderful, and we're trying to keep on top of those things, but it does present issues.
So I know that the state has that 211 helpline, which will help plug people in. I know that it's not quite the same, but it's 24/7, I think, still, right?
It is.
And I know that, as you said, we have Safe Harbor. I know there's that Nicole Balashi and the whole team over there are doing some great work, and there's a lot of resources available on their website. We've been posting things as well. I know on the police Facebook page and the website there are links to other help that people can have in these, because there's no question that everyone's been under more stress. That said, I know there's been some good news. I know we had a great story a few weeks ago about one of the officers getting his marriage license. So.
Yeah, Officer Hellbach, he just recently got married. I think it's 2 weeks ago now, but he gets stuck. He lives out of town. His local town hall was closed. He couldn't get in touch with his town clerk, and through some help from you and Carol, our town clerk, he was able to get his marriage license and get sworn in at town hall. It was really good. It became a story too for the local news, which was really nice.
Right. It's actually one of these like make it work stories, right? Normally, somebody getting a marriage attention is nothing, right? It's like we're never going to be the member. In this case, it was actually a great story. It was overcoming obstacles, and they ended up having a socially distant wedding. I understand up in St. Anthony's.
They did. They had a grand wedding plan, but things changed, and they just like you said, they had to make it work, and that's been sort of the underlying story for us for the last, I think we're day 75, 74?
I think I've lost track at this point, right? It's March, for us, it's been March 1st.
Yes, it's about 75 days.
So the resiliency has, I guess, been the real key word, and the officers have really done a great job with that.
Yeah, and something, a lot of it is the support from the community. We have a line of people that come in every week with, what are they're baking cookies or, dropping off, homemade masks. Those things go a long way, and they let the officers know, that the people think about them, that they care, and it doesn't go unnoticed for sure. And I try to, write everybody a personal note to drop something off, just because it really is very much appreciated, and it goes towards the morale of the department. And in the same sense, the officers are, we have these conversations at a distance all the time. The officers are grateful to be working. We realize the reality of this is, people have to, collecting unemployment, they're not able to go to work, they could potentially lose their business. So the officers, just to return a little something to the community, they've banded together and they've bought gift cards. They buy gift cards from the local businesses, Fresh Feast, Red Lion Inn, Anchor and Sail, Seabird, all the local, small businesses, and they're supporting them. So there's a stack of gift cards that everybody chipped in for in the station, and if someone's a little short money, they can grab one of the gift cards, and they're helping out the local merchants in a small way, also. So
That's great. It's Cohasset helping out Cohasset, right?
yeah, and it's just a little way for us to say thanks. And it's you don't think about the logistics of an emergency like this, but the businesses, a lot of these businesses have reduced hours. We work 24 hours a day, so it's difficult to get a sandwich or a coffee or something at 9 o'clock at night. You might be busy when you get on at 4 and just not get a chance to pick something up. So all these little things help.
Any other message for the community at this point? Or?
No, I guess we just ask for everybody's patience, and I know that's hard. It's easy to say that, but if people have been cooped up, I get it. I'm experiencing the same thing. I just want to get out there too, but it's just not safe if you follow all the guidance. It's just with the same. We're trying to go with the program and be reasonable with people. So it's been different. I wouldn't have imagined this when I started my career here a while ago. But here we are.
I wouldn't imagine it 6 months ago at this point,
Yep.
right? Or 3 months ago. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, all the officers and on the force who are doing such a great job for the town. And thank you for your leadership.
Sure. You're welcome.
Now Cohasset Common connects with Larry Corthell, the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and two of our local business owners.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we are open Wednesdays and Saturdays, 9 to 12. It's only curbside pickup, so you can call, order over the phone, pay with the credit cards, and then we have the table out here, so you can just pick up everything you've ordered, and there's no contact, so it's pretty safe, and people have been really good. We carry pretty much everything we normally carry. I have menus in the window, menus outside. I can send them if people would like to. It's pretty much the same product we normally carry. We're doing lots of meals, lots of takeouts, usual breads, croissant. It does help if you order ahead, so we can be ready, and it takes a little less time for you to wait. But I do have people that come and order at the last minute, which is fine too. And that's it. So we open for business, and we carry the usual products. And thank you for your support.
Hi, I'm Ann with Ann Original Photography. I'm a local photographer here in Cohasset. I've been shooting the Front Steps project since the shutdown began, and I've been trying to raise money for the Small Business Relief Fund from GoFundMe. And what I do is I basically go to families' homes and take pictures of them in their front steps, and in exchange for these sessions, they go and make a donation to the charity of their choice. And I do have a GoFundMe page where they can donate to, and that's GoFundMe/Ann Original Photography, the Front Steps Project. And with that, I've raised about over $10,000. I've qualified and received the $500 Small Business Relief Grant given by GoFundMe, QuickBooks, and Yelp. And with that money, I'm going to be donating it to local businesses, small businesses that need just a little extra financial help. And I hope to continue doing this until the shutdown is over. And if you need to get in touch with me, you can give me a call, 617-970-1599. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Cohasset Common, and special thanks to Police Chief Bill Quigley, Quinn Kelly of the Mariner, Nicole Balashi, Larry Corthell, and all those who took part in producing this week's episode. Thanks again. Have a good week.